so you're looking at May, June 2023. So our first set of items fall under vocabulary. Each sentence in this section has one underlined word. Choose from the 4 suggested answers the word which is closest to opposite in meaning to the underlined word. So you look at your sentences, get your answers, and then we correct. All right, so number 1, their actions show that they were firm in their rejection of the new law. So rejection comes from reject. If you're rejecting something, you're declining, refusing. So the opposite of that will give you option B, which is acceptance. Number 2, every effort was made to ensure his arrival. So if you're ensuring that something is going to happen, you want to make certain that it takes place. Now, you would want to go with option A, which is avoid, right? However, in this case, because some previous past papers, you would have like avoid in the sentence. And the answer there for the opposite would be to ensure. But in this case, if you look at the meaning of our sentence, it says every effort was made to ensure his arrival. So it wouldn't necessarily have every effort was made to like avoid his arrival, right? You'll have option D, every effort was made to jeopardize his arrival. Number 3, Paul was enthusiastic about attending the final game. So enthusiastic, eager, showing interest. So the opposite of that will give you option D, which is unconcerned. Number 4, compassionate. The compassionate man was known by many in the crowd. So the compassionate man, in terms of, will be showing sympathy or concern for others. And the opposite of that will give you C, uncaring. And number 5, as a result of the available evidence, the accused was apprehended and no further action was taken. So apprehend, right? That means to capture. So the opposite of that, you will have option B, released. All right, so our next items fall under error recognition. So going through your sentences to see if any of these errors are in any of these sentences here. All right, so you get your answers and then we correct. All right, so number 6, he quickly reversed back the car into the street to avoid being hit by the oncoming vehicle. All right, so this one, your answer will be option A. Right, our sentence is two-wordy, that is repetitive or contains redundancies. So you have some repetition here in this place where you have reversed back, right? Because reverse, what's the meaning of that? To go back. So there's no need to put this back here again. We are being repetitive. Number 7, it's not absolutely necessary for it to be done today. So this here will give you option C. Right, the sentence is incorrect grammatically or faulty in diction. We have a faulty in diction error here with an incorrect word being used, which is this in the beginning, the it's. Right, now this it's here means belonging to, but if you look at the meaning of our sentence, we want to say it is not absolutely necessary. And for the it to be it is, right, we need IT apostrophe S, right? Because that will mean it is, and that's what we want from this sentence. Number 8, she had adequate time to prepare for the interview. This one here is option D. Our sentence is acceptable as it stands. Nothing is being repeated. There's no cliche, misused metaphor, no grammatical error, or no faulty in diction. Number 9, we must ensure that we do not put the cart before the horse in this matter. So do not put the cart before the horse, right? That's a cliche. So we have option B. And number 10, sitting alone in his room by himself, he repeated her name over and over again. This one is option A. We have some repetition here. We have this here, sitting alone. So if he's sitting alone, right, in his room by himself. So we know if he's alone, sitting alone there, that obviously means he's by himself. So these two are giving you that same meaning. So we have repetition. Then you also have this here where it says repeated her name over and over again. If he's repeating her name, that basically means that he's doing that over and over again. So this here was redundant as well. All right. All right, so next group of items, we're looking for misspelled words. So you look at your sentences, select your answers, and then we go through. All right, so number 11, the principal bought the school furniture from that store. So principal, that's good. Bought, that's good as well. Furniture, this is spelled correctly. So D is our answer. There's no error here. Number 12, the minister complained that the number of persons selected to perform was inadequate. So a misspelled word here will be option C. We have inadequate. We have an error here after the Q. It's not A-U-T-E, but we need Q-U-A. right? So that A and U needs to shift around. So inadequate, we have INADEQUATE. All right. So number 13, the receipt of his letter assured me that such an incident would not be tolerated. So a misspelled word is option A, receipt, right? That IE after that C there needs to change. What we need, how we need our word to be spelled is RECEIPT. All right, so receipt. Number 14, his colleague thought that the accommodation provided was substandard. So you have colleague, accommodation, substandard, all three are spelled correctly. So we have D, no error. And last one for spelling, number 15, it is my privilege to give you some advice concerning proper nutrition. Now, looking at this from afar, if you just look at the words that's being used there, everything here would look like it's spelled correctly, right? But for spelling, never just look at what's underlined, read your entire sentence to get the meaning, right? And make sure the words that they're using is attached to what's happening in the sentence as well. Because here, B would be considered our misspelled word, right? Why? Because advise must be used as a verb, an action. Advice is giving the opinion or the recommendation. And that's not the word that we need here. All right, because what we're trying to say is my privilege to give you the particular thing, the opinion, which is the advice. So we needed it ADVICE. All right. So nice, that was spelling. All right, so next set of items fall under construction shift. You revise each of the following sentences according to the direction that follow it. Do not change the meaning of the original sentence. You look at option A to D for the word or phrase that best suits the revised sentence and mark your choice on the answer sheet. So you go through, get your answers, and then we'll correct. Right, so number 16, it's going to be all right. Mama showed me, begin the sentence with Mama showed me that. So basically changing from direct speech where we are saying what someone said, quoting, versus reported speech where we are saying what was said. So Mama showed me that. What did Mama show you? That it is going to be all right. So here we have Mom assured me that it was going to be all right. So B will be your answer. Number 17, in your travels, you will meet people of different cultures. So begin the sentence with your travels. So a sentence now needs to start with your travels. So what did they say about our travels? So in your travels, you will meet people of different cultures. So what does the travel do? Option A, your travels will expose you, right, to people of different cultures. It will not submit you, burden you, or invite you along with, right? No, it will expose you where you meet people of different cultures. Number 17, on learning of the impending hurricane, many persons rushed to the supermarket. So you need to now start our sentence with many persons rushed. So many persons rushed to what? The supermarket, right? So in our sentence, this will be coming after here. So many persons rushed to the supermarket, and then one of the options will go. So they learned, but they learned, when they learned, or for they were learning, right? Key thing here is it says on learning of the impending hurricane. And what that means is that when they learned of the impending hurricane. So many persons rushed to the supermarket when they learned of the impending hurricane. All right, going up to number 19. The cricket match ended abruptly when many spectators stormed the field. So key thing here, this happened when this other thing happened. Say sentence need to give that same meaning. So we need to start our sentence now with many spectators stormed. So what did they storm? The field, right? So you could continue with that from here. So many spectators stormed the field, right? So the cricket match, but the cricket match, getting the cricket match, preventing the cricket match. Our answer here will be A, right? Many spectators stormed the field, so the cricket match ended abruptly, which is telling us the same thing where one thing caused the other. And last one for this, number 20. During my time at school, I was involved in extracurricular activities. So we need to begin our new sentence with I was involved. It's like I was involved in extracurricular activities, right? On staying, while I was staying, for my stay, when staying, right? Keyword, during my time at school. So we need that same meaning as it was during your time at school, which will give you option B, while I was at school. All right, so our last set of items for section 1, we have vocabulary again, but instead of looking at the opposite, which we did for the first 5 questions, now we're looking at a word that's nearest in meaning. So you go through your sentences, get your answers, and then we correct. All right, so number 21, it was impossible to rectify the error made by the computer since inaccurate information had been fed into it. So you want rectify, if we are rectifying something, we're making it right, we are fixing it, we are correcting it. So you have option C, right? Number 22, the flowers grow profusely in the garden. So profusely, you have a profusion of something, which means you have a lot, right? It's plentiful, it's abundant, which will give you option C, abundantly. Number 23, for the first time in a decade, the company disclosed a deficit in its accounts. So if you disclose something, you will reveal. So option B, revealed, is our answer. So bushfires are prevalent during the dry season. So prevalent is something is prevalent. It's option C, widespread. And last one for vocabulary, number 25. During the final stages of the trial, a new witness was called to corroborate this testimony of the accused. So you want to corroborate this testimony, right? You want to option B, support it. All right, next, so we have our poetry questions. So you read your poem, then look at your questions, get your answers, and we go through. All right, so number 26, there's a single kite in line 1 left in the sky, most likely because. So what's the most likely reason that this single kite is left in the sky? So we go to line 1. When a single kite is left in evening sky and I stand black against the saffron, pulling in the night covers, right? So it's left in the evening sky and we're pulling in the night covers. So that's telling us that it is late. So option A would be our answer. Number 27, what aspect of the sky does the poet focus on? So when a single kite is left in the evening sky, right, black against the saffron, pulling in the night covers, the aspect is focusing on is option C, color, all right, the color of the sky. Number 28, of whom is the poet most likely thinking in the poem? So he said any poem this poet is thinking, right, of someone. So you have like black against the saffron, pulling in night covers with a single thread, I think of you. When bats break a calm lake like scissors on a warm fabric, where a lone fisherman waits alone on the hill, I think of you. Right? So if you see what makes them think of that person, right? The imagery that we are seeing, that will give you the hint that is option D, someone he or she loves, right? Number 29, when bats break a calm lake like scissors on a warm fabric, lines 10 to 11 is an example of. So you're looking at literary devices. So when bats break a calm lake like scissors on a warm fabric, right? So here we're comparing these two with the use of like, comparing that when the bats break a calm lake to the scissors on a warm fabric, that will give you option A, which is a simile, right? Because a simile compares two things with the use of like or as. Number 30, the poet speaks of each of the following except. So which one of these did the poet not speak of? So let's see what we have in the poem. So A, a single kite that is flying. So yes, we have that when a single kite is left in the evening sky. So A is there in the poem. So it's not, that's our answer. Option B, a lone fisherman waiting. Do we have that? Yes, where a lone fisherman waits. Option C, bats breaking warm fabric. So you have when bats break a calm lake. So we see something different. Right here, the bats break a calm lake, not the warm fabric. So C is what the speaker did not speak of. So just to double check, you look at D, the hen's wings that are warm. All right, we have that here when chickens search the warmth of a hen's wings. So C is definitely our answer. 31, which of the following literary devices is used in line 4? So line 4 is this here, black against the saffron. So here we have a contrast, right? Contrasting these two colors there, the black, right, a very dark black versus the saffron, which is like orange, right? So those two things are being contrasted. 32, the poet's intention is to describe nature, describe the sunset, tell us of the lone fisherman, or tell someone he or she is missing him or her, right? The poet's intention. So he's doing these things, describing the nature, describing the sunset, tell us of a lone, we mentioned a lone fisherman, right? But his intention is option D, to tell someone he or she is missing him or her. Because based on the descriptions, the scenery that we are looking at, we are saying, I think of you. These things are making me think of you there. And last one for the poem, number 33, which word best describes the poet's tone? Right? So the poet's tone, the attitude in which the poet there is speaking in the poem. Is it bitter, serious, regretful, or nostalgic? So definitely option D, which is nostalgic, right? When you're thinking back on things that happened, right? Which is definitely what nostalgic means and which they are doing by looking at these things and thinking of them. All right, so next we have a passage. So you read through the passage, the questions, get your answers, and then we go through. All right, so number 34, at what time of day did the main events of the passage occur? The key thing here is the main events, right? So what are our main events here? When check appeared and when it passed through, right? And the things that occurred there. And if you see here, it says the truck appeared as soon as the sun set, right? So at the beginning there of the sun setting, that's where the truck appeared, right? And you can see, okay, all of these things are happening within that time span. So if it was a navy blue truck covered with decals of fish that ended by circling around the plaza, right? Then the truck had gone into one of them and disappeared, creating an unusual momentary silence everywhere. And then here we come at the end and we're saying he moved towards the back part of the vehicle and struggled with the doors for a while, right? And then you have in about an hour, the bolts proved to be canvas, forming a small tent attached to the truck. So then if you see here, the beautiful muslin in the black air of the night. So it became nighttime at the end, right? When things were ending up, it became late. So you could say, show himself again until the town clock struck 8. So from the time the sun set, right, these things occur and then it became nighttime. So the time of day where the main events, right, of the passage occur was option C in the evening, right? Because everything was wrapping up here at the nighttime. So it wasn't option B there. The answer is C, evening. Number 35, which effect did the truck have as it moved through the town? So what were the effect that the truck gave on the people? Dramatic, disturbing, scintillating, stimulating, right? The answer here will be option B, disturbing. If we look at the descriptions and how they felt. So you have like, let's see here. It was the same enormous, outlandish truck that had gone through the Pueblo of that afternoon, deafening everyone with its loudspeaker, right? So it was disturbing. It's not they'll be like, wow, that's so nice. No, so you have option B. 36, in lines 1 to 12, the town is described as having hills and valleys, undeveloped with poor roads, having a series of winding roads organized with main and secondary roads. So looking at the town, how was the town described, right? So like from 1 to 12. So you can see here, it says in your last line in paragraph 1, right? It would have been easy to follow by air through the maze of streets. Right, so you see, okay, they're describing the town there with like a maze of streets. And then you come here in the second line 11, you see like from where the echo, right, moving away through the series of side streets. So there's a series of side streets as well. So our answer here is option C, right? The town is described as having a series of winding roads. Number 37, which of the following is not illustrated in the passage? Yeah, the village had no vegetation. The people of the village were curious. Village life was quiet and uneventful, and the village had just been hit by a hurricane. Right? So you definitely know option D was definitely there in the passage. The village had just been hit by a hurricane because again, the title as well, it could clearly tell you that it's after the hurricane, right? So we have in terms of the village had no vegetation. Nowhere we didn't see this, right? So this wasn't really illustrated there. So A is our answer. And just to double check the others to see if they were there, the people of the village were curious. So you have that like here, but then the line of spectators already extended several times around the square. So people were curious to what was going on. And then you also have that the village life was quiet and uneventful, right? Because you have things like it would have been easy to follow it by ear, right? So by just listening to the truck they're going across, right? Since we could hear that, it means that, okay, there's not much eventfulness or noise there that's taking place, right? So the village life was quiet and eventful. So A is our answer that was not illustrated in the passage. Number 38, what is a dominant literary device used in the passage? Right, so definitely we didn't have any puns there, so A wouldn't be an option. There was simile present. We have metaphor, right? Hyperbole, kind of, but your most dominant literary device, which one is prominent there in your passage, will be option C, your metaphor. We have things like, with the nocturnal wave of murkiness and stars advance. Then we have here like the maze of streets, right? You have like one or two similes, but your dominant one would definitely be metaphor, a little metaphorical language being used in this passage there. All right. Then we have number 39. The passage appeals most to the senses of taste and hearing, sight and hearing, smell and hearing, touch and hearing. So you definitely have option B, right? We're appealing to sight and hearing. And number 40, the words, he didn't show himself again until the town clock struck 8. It suggests that he, so this one is like self-explanatory. Our answer we know will be option C, right? It suggested that he waited for the clock to strike 8 to begin, right? That's lines 21 to 22. At once, the man went inside, like music, into the shell, and he didn't show himself again until the town clock struck 8. So he definitely waited for the clock to strike 8 to begin. And last one for this passage, number 41. The last sentence of the passage highlights the number of villagers present, exciting quality of the entertainment, lack of entertainment in the village, or eagerness of the villagers for entertainment, right? So let's see the last sentence. We have, by then, the line of spectators already extended several times around the square of the plaza, right? So our line of spectators already extended. So what is showing, right? We have a lot of people there, all right, waiting in line. So we have the eagerness of the villagers for entertainment. All right, so this is our another passage, right? So I just want to read through these three questions here because I know it may be a little blurry or light. So just in case you can't see properly, I'm going to read it through so you can know what these words are. All right, so 45, from paragraphs 1 and 2, lines 1 to 9, we may deduce that cancer is A, on the increase in developing countries, B, caused by excessive alcohol, drug, and cigarette use, C, more likely to cause the death of people under 60 years of age, D, one major drawback to health programs in developing countries. 46. In the passage, it is suggested that one reason people smoke is that cigarette smoking is fashionable in modern society, is promoted by numerous advertisements, provides governments with needed revenue, and provides release and relaxation for individuals. 47. In the last paragraph, lines 27 to 29, which of the following is not suggested as a way in which dangers to health can be reduced? Governments implementing new policies, allocating funds adequately to policies, individuals altering patterns of living, and politicians becoming more responsible. So you pause to read, go through your questions, gather your answers, and then we'll correct. All right, so number 42, according to paragraph 1, which is lines 1 to 4, deaths from heart disease, cancer, and debility are on the increase because of. So you go to paragraph 1 where we see that, right? They have presented themselves in socially accepted forms. The socially acquired glamour of cigarette smoking, the pleasures of alcohol, and spurious release gained through drugs have resulted in many cases of, so these things here have resulted in many cases of heart disease, cancer, and debility, which is what we are talking about here, right? So what our answer will be is option C, the growing substance abuse in today's society, right? So the socially acquired glamour of cigarette smoking, pleasure of alcohol, and spurious release gained through drugs, right? That will be our answer. Number 43, the words succumbing and dependence, line 5, imply that the habits of cigarette smoking, alcohol, and drug use inhibit development, are created by the users, give rise to a state of numbness, and have an overpowering effect on people. So looking at line 5 here, since many developing countries are succumbing to the same habits and dependence, so once you're succumbing to something, you're giving in, you're yielding to like an overpowering or overwhelming force. And of course, if you're dependent, you can't do without it. So that would give you option D here, right? It implies that the habits of cigarette smoking, alcohol, and drug use have an overpowering effect on people. So option D is our answer. Number 44, the writer feels that deaths from cigarette smoking can best be minimized if, and our answer here will be option A, governments institute new policies, right? We can see that in paragraph 3, where we have these will depend on two aspects: the personal choices made and the choices that are only possible if national policies and health strategies break new ground. Then we also see it in paragraph 5, government policies can strengthen individuals. And you also have it in the last paragraph where it says like some causes of ill health can be removed by political action, right? So it can best be minimized if governments institute new policies. So number 45, from paragraphs 1 and 2, lines 1 to 9, we may deduce that cancer is. So based on paragraphs 1 and 2, what can we deduce about cancer, right? Once we go through it, we can see that it's option A, cancer is on the increase in developing countries. Since many developing countries are succumbing to the same habits and dependence, they lay themselves open to the same diseases, right? Assessment, once a country achieves a life expectancy at birth of 60 years, cancer rapidly moves up in the ranking of health problems. So nice, number 46. In the passage, it is suggested that one reason people smoke is that cigarette smoking is fashionable in modern society, is promoted by numerous advertisements, provides governments with needed revenue, or provides release and relaxation for individuals. This will give you option A, right? That cigarette smoking is fashionable for modern society. A clue of that will be in like paragraph 1, where it says the socially acquired glamour of cigarette smoking, right? So it's fashionable in modern society. And last one for this passage, number 47. In the last paragraph, lines 27 to 29, which of the following is not suggested as a way in which dangers to health can be reduced? So which one of these is not suggested? So you have A, governments implementing new policies, right? So look at the last paragraph. So this here, are governments implementing new policies? So yes, we have that removed by political action, right? So new policies there. Option B, allocating funds adequately to policies. That will give you here with financial investment. Then we have C, individuals altering patterns of living. That will be here, can be removed by people deciding to change their way of living, right? So A to C was there. So our answer here is option D, politicians becoming more responsible, because nowhere we said anything about that. All right, so this is our next passage. I know this one here is blurry, so I put in the options there again. So option A is mention cars, option B is express disgust, option C are complimentary, and option D is contain rhetorical question, right? So you read your passage, go through your questions, and then we'll correct. All right, number 48, the writer's use of the word brain in line 1 is meant to. So you look to see where it was used. We have This is an open request to find who is the brain behind traffic management in Palu, right? So who is the brain behind the traffic management? Does anybody know? I have tried traffic branch, not them. Highways, not them. So you see brain is like in quotations. What we're actually trying to do, right, is to make fun of the decisions. Number 49, when the writer repeats not them in paragraph 1, he implies that he's choosing someone to complain to. No one knows who is in charge of the traffic management. No one wants to accept responsibility for the traffic situation. Or D, he is searching diligently for the person in charge. So let's see, okay, where did we have the not them being repeated? Right? So we have it in the same paragraph 1. Does anybody know? I've tried traffic branch, not them. Highways, not them. Planning and development, not them. Right? So what he's implying is that option C, no one wants to accept responsibility for the traffic situation. Because remember, he started with this here, there's an open request to find who is the brain behind traffic management, right? So C was our answer. Number 50, Stoke Street, line 7, Celestial Road, and Delano Street can best be considered as prohibited streets for all drivers, streets that attract a lot of attention, assigned parking places for diplomats, or examples to support the writer's case. So let's see how it was used. We have first one in line 7, Stoke Street. So we have then, suddenly, it's back to a two-way and traffic for so. Same is true of Stoke Street. Somebody changed the stop signs, right? So he's using this as an example, right? To the point that he's making there. And then we have Celestial Road, line 9. But the best is Celestial Road in St. John, which is Wrecker Heaven. Somebody made this road, which apart from Broadway is the wildest street. So again, that's being used as an example as well. And then line 17, the Lino Street. So you're going to line 17 here. Then again, the two narrow streets in Palo allow parking. Try the Lino Street off Abbey Lane, right? So that's showing you that our answer here is option D. It best be considered as examples to support the writer's case. 51, the writer's tone can best be described as, so the writer's tone, the attitude of the writer, is it puzzled, resigned, sarcastic, or complimentary, right? Definitely not D, right? We're not complimenting anything. Our answer here would be option C, right? Tone is very sarcastic. Who is the brain behind traffic management? Not them, right? And then see the other types of rhetorical questions. Who is the brain behind this mess? Who is the brain? No doubt a small man with a big, big car who has no name, right? Number 52. So this is a question here because it's a bit blurry. So the last paragraph of the letter is similar to paragraph 5 because both of them, so looking at the last paragraph, oh, so this one here was the last sentence. All right, so the question was actually the last sentence of the letter is similar to paragraph 5 because, right? So you're looking at the last sentence which says, no doubt a small man with a big, big car who has no name. Is similar to paragraph 5. So paragraph 5 will be this one here. Oh, there's an exception. If you have a Canadian High Commission sticker, you can park and the wrecker will not touch your diplomatic card. Maybe we could all become diplomats, right? So they are similar because option B, they express disgust, right? Expressing how just the system is there, right? So it's expressing disgust. Definitely not just mentioning cars or definitely not see a complimenting anything, right? And doesn't contain rhetorical questions. So 53, the author of this passage is most likely A, right? So who will be the most likely writer of this passage here? We'll have option A, a motorist, right? Someone who drives cars, because that's exactly what we are talking about, in terms of driving on the roads and the parking situation with the traffic management, right? 54, again, the small man suffers. Line 14 implies that the small man is often, you'll have option B, disadvantaged, right? So if you go to line 14, if you look at what's taking place, there are 4 major office buildings on this road, all of which provide underground parking for staff. So some, usually the lower paid, right, have to park elsewhere. And these are the persons whose cars the wrecker is taking away all day, every day. Again, the small man suffers, right? Again, the small man is disadvantaged. And last one for this passage, number 55, the letter was most likely published in a. So where would this most likely be published? A newspaper, press release, tourist brochure, or school magazine? Definitely not B to D, right? So we know our answer is A. It will most likely be published in a newspaper. All right, so our last items fall under an advertisement. So some of the questions in this past paper are a bit blurry. So at the bottom here will be number 56, which is this question here, right? So you look at it here to read it to get your answers. For number 55, the question is on top here. All right, let me just read 57 in case you can't see properly. So it says, according to the advertisement, the treatment applied to the flowers makes the stems grow longer, is a result of the training that the florists receive, makes the flowers stay fresh for a longer period, or causes the flower arrangements to work with them better, right? So you pause, go through, get your answers, and then we correct. All right, so number 56, when the writer uses the statement, our floral arrangement send a message when there are no words, line 3, he is suggesting that, right? So where do we have that in the passage, right? We have that right here. Our floral arrangements send a message. So say you are special with love blooms. Our floral arrangements send a message when there are no words. So it's suggesting by saying that there are no words to describe love blooms. Those who receive the flowers are left speechless. These flowers are sent by people who cannot speak, or flowers convey the message more clearly than the words, right? So then the words were supposed to be there. All right, than the spoken word, right? So our answer here would be option D. The flowers, what our floral arrangements send the message when there are no words. So by these flowers, you'll get the message, right? But there are no words. So you have the flowers convey the message more clearly than the spoken word. 57, according to the advertisement, the treatment applied to the flowers. So where did they talk about the treatment, right? We have here new revolutionary treatment ensures longer lasting freshness, right? So the treatment of the flowers doesn't make the stems grow longer, is a result of the training that the flowers receive, makes the flowers stay fresh for a longer period. Option C will be our answer because that's what it plainly says there, right? Number 58, the use of the words to meet your every whim and fancy, line 7 to 8, is intended to make customers feel that their desires will be met. Some desires are trivial, the florists are very creative, or the arrangements are always fashionable, right? So to meet your every whim and fancy, right? It means A, that their desires will be met. So when you have every whim and fancy, meaning anything that you want, right? They will meet that need. So your desires will be met. So 59, in using the statement, 9 out of 10 customers value our efficient and reliable service, the writer's purpose is most likely to. So this was in line 9. So you have this here. 9 out of 10 customers value our efficient and reliable service. So by saying this, the writer's purpose is most likely to what? Show that people like the company, show how many people use the service, demonstrate the company has done some research, or encourage patronage by appealing to the need to be part of the group. Our answer here will be option D, right? By saying 9 out of 10 customers value our efficient and reliable service, you want to encourage persons that, okay, they need to be a part of these 9 out of 10 people that are getting all of these benefits there. So you want to encourage patronage by appealing to the need to be part of the group, all right? And the last one, number 60, the primary purpose of the advertisement is to, so the primary purpose, the main purpose, introduce a gift special, give information about the delivery service, persuade readers to use the service offered by Love Blooms, or give some examples of occasions when flowers may be used. So we have an advertisement. What's the purpose of an advertisement? To persuade, right, persons to buy what we are selling or to want our service. So this here will be option C. We want to persuade readers to use the service offered by Love Blooms.